Are you ready for me? Let's go.
What's going
What's
on?
up, everyone?
Yes!
It is Sunday.
It is Sunday.
You know what that means? We don't stop. We keep going.
Back to back. Back to back.
And what a week it's been. It's been one of those weeks. And it's the end of February almost.
Woo! This year's going by too fast.
But there's a lot of exciting things to look forward to.
You like tax season?
You guys finish your taxes yet? I know
I just finished mine, and not happy with it.
That's the way it is.
We gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been a crazy week. Updates for me, as you know, last week. Yeah, I think we try to be lighthearted about it, but my dad is fine now. He is doing better. He is back home.
Yeah, we visited him the other day. He's like jumping around, saying, "I feel so great." He's about to do like backflips and stuff. He's full of energy.
That's my dad. Yeah, I mean, I love my dad. He's like, I lost my mom 4 years ago, and he's all I got now as a parent. So I have to thank him because he's the one that made me the awesome rocker that I am. I grew up with the best music.
The best!
Playing in the background, So I got to thank him for, just putting me on a path to music. And you see, he has stories. He's a very intellectual, just great conversation all around.
Yeah, he's gonna start writing his autobiography now. So.
He was in the hospital. He's like, he started writing the chapter of how he almost died last week.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, look, read it. See what you think."
It's like journaling, right?
Yeah. I mean, what do you do when you're in the hospital for that long? Whole week. He reads, he listens to music, and he starts writing his autobiography.
Yeah.
And then my brother's doing better. He had surgery. I know. Both of the men that I love dearly in the hospital. So we were going around, visiting. But always be grateful for the people that you love in your life. Like I always say. If you have your parents, call your parents, love them. And it's been quite a week, but I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. And also we got some really exciting news.
Yeah.
So, in the other side of things, I always say things always end up just the way they're supposed to be. And do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, why not? I mean, well, first thing is we're writing a new song.
Yes.
And it's just about almost complete
like
as far as like the instrumental portion of it. And then Yen's gonna put her vocals in.
I gotta do my writing.
We're gonna go on a hunt
structure.
for another collaborator or something on there. But we're gonna have it out in the next couple months or so. I think we'll have it ready, and in time for our major event that we have been able to jump on is this giant festival. It's a stem off of the World Steampunk Festival, and it's like a blend of like steampunk meets galaxy cyber. Like they're blending a lot of different genres together, and they a lot
of bands.
We had someone advocate for us, and then we reached out to them, and they were like, "You guys are perfect for this event."
Yeah, definitely. We fit it right in, so that's gonna be a fun. They have like a lot of booths, and so this is the thing. This is what we're working on. They were asking us, is there anything that you would like to do or add or any ideas? Well,
yeah, I mean,
there are a lot of musicians there, and we do this thing that's a podcast, and we like getting to know people and collaborating with them, and telling people what makes them awesome. And we gave him the idea, and he said, well, would you like a panel or a booth where we could do something like that? And then he was down for it.
Yeah.
The one that's hosting the whole thing. And so we might be able to hopefully have some kind of podcast,
like a live podcast.
Yeah, because it's
interviews.
a 3-day event. So we play on Saturday. We might do it on Sunday. That might be awesome because it's right on the schedule that we do it on. And so let's hope that ends up being something fun that we can share with you guys. And they have booths. They have live music.
They have
everything.
vendors,
vendors,
food, games.
Like
magic.
rides.
So all sorts of different stuff. So we're gonna post more about that later. We did have initial post on the Sky Museum Instagram. So if you're not following Sky Museum, follow Sky Museum on Instagram. Check out our website at skymuseummusic.com for more updates and join the newsletter so that you have right away up front in your email all the updates that we're doing for the band.
And if you're in the New York City area, it is up. It's not in the city per se. It's upstate. It's going towards Albany. It's in Lake George from May
2nd
to May 5th.
May 4th.
May 4th?
4th, yeah.
Okay.
So two,
I think
three,
I had it
yeah.
right written down.
It's 3 days.
3 days. 3
Friday,
days.
Saturday, Sunday. So yeah.
So that's going to be fun. So, hit us up if you guys are in the New York area. And, yeah, we hope to see you there if you're around. It's going to be a fun time. It's like in a boating lake area. There's a lot of cabins there. So it has that vibe there.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun to have a festival. And he's never been there. So you're going to see what it's like upstate, know, being in the city and then going
in the
upstate.
woods.
Yeah, you're going to see. It's definitely different. But you're used to that.
Yeah.
Being a suburban guy. So
speaking of events, we had Mike Stone try out for Primus, and we were curious as to like how all of that went down.
I had to, wear my Primus merch.
And it's so cool to see that. I was so happy for him. I was rooting for him. And,
I really wanted this for him too.
It looked like it was a lot of fun. So we're gonna hear that from Mike
stories.
Stone.
I mean, jamming out with freaking Primus.
Mm.
It's like the things dreams are made of. So, I think without further ado, we should bring Mike out here.
Hey, Mike, I think we got an echo on your end. The podcast is getting fed into your audio there.
All right, let's try it again.
Yeah, I'm let me see. Yep. Echo.
Oh boy, I don't know how that's going on.
Echo.
That shouldn't be going on. How bizarre.
Check.
What could it be going through?
Check.
Anything?
Checkers. Checkmate.
That should not be happening.
Weird. Hold on.
Should be.
We'll give him time to figure out.
Well, that is bizarre. I'm not getting an echo here.
Check. Maybe it's my end. Let me double check this.
It could be on your end because I've got my normal monitoring situation here.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. I have several devices open, but none of them are feeding back through, and in fact, most of them are muted.
Check. That's weird.
I don't understand.
Might be
why.
RN.
I don't have anything routed.
Well,
We were fine earlier.
If I mute you guys, I'm not going to be able to hear you.
Right, yeah.
You. Let's see, and there's my speakers are off, so it shouldn't be coming through there.
Check. Is there audio loop in Zoom? Like is a Zoom update on your end? Or getting sent to channel?
It shouldn't be. It's going through the same. Yeah. I'm going through my Blackmagic into the studio live. So it should be.
Check.
I don't know.
No, it's weird. I'm gonna go through my routing. Let me see here.
All right. Technology is fun.
Yes.
It was fine when we began.
How funny. Don't have
Okay, so that's that.
I'm gonna make sure that's off.
The mic.
Hmm.
Check.
Check.
You're fine. You're fine. You're not looping. You're not looping. Check.
All right.
Check. Check. Do you hear me?
Hello? Hello? I think it's good now. Is
Well,
it
that
good
is
now?
bizarre.
Good now?
But it's
Oh, it's that one. Oh, it's that one.
yeah. But he has to have the sampler.
I'm just gonna try. But if I mute you, I'm not gonna be able to hear you. That's the issue. Here, give it a couple of checks real quick.
Check.
Hello, hello, hello.
Check.
1, 2.
Check.
1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2.
Did that stop it for a moment?
It did. Yeah. It did. Yeah.
Well, that's a problem. Because I've, in order to hear you guys coming back through, that's, all right, so that shouldn't be here. So I'm sending audio through, okay. Let me do that. Not that. Let's try this.
Check. 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 Check.
Still?
Still. Still.
Oh boy.
It's so weird.
Speaker. All right. So, well, that is just bizarre. You can hear me fine?
I hear you fine.
All right. All right. Checking now.
Check. Check. Still an echo. Still an echo. I don't know. That's so weird. So weird.
Yeah, this is the same.
You have it twice. Pages up.
Otherwise, we'll hear him twice.
Yeah, this is the same setup that I typically do.
Check. 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 Yeah, I just did a reset on the routing.
Folks, this is what happens when you have a ton of technology.
Yeah. Technology.
It keeps changing.
Yes.
And none of this is looped or audio's on. Let me try something here real quick.
All right.
If I do change it to chat mic. Still hear me?
I do.
Check. Okay, well, that worked.
Okay.
That worked?
Yeah.
What was that? What made it go away?
It might be the sampler. I don't know why the sampler is not. Yeah, all right. You just won't be able to hear music in the background. I'm just that's basically it.
That's fine.
All right. Okay, so I think we're good now. I gotta see what's up with that. That's
all right.
That shouldn't happen. Now my microphone's getting all screwy. Okay. Let's do this.
Put it live.
Let's show.
This is how you know it's live.
Mike Stone. Here he is.
Mike Stone in the building. Let's go.
Oh man. Fun stuff.
All right. Now
All right.
we're live.
So we are live, guys, here with Mike Stone from California. So how is it over there? It's really freezing here, so I'm hoping you're nice over there.
Really nice, but it's dry. Thankfully, we're not having fires. We were, that was pretty unnerving, but, I'm pretty used to having fires every year, so,
Yeah, that is very scary. That was like, wow.
We had fires in multiple directions for a while until we got some significant rains, and in the meantime I had a good friend of mine had to relocate to our house for a few days while fires cleared up in his direct area up north. So it's just something we deal with. I think no matter where you live in the country, you've got some sort of natural disaster to contend with. So
Yeah, that's for sure.
I have relatives that have lost their home a couple of times to tornadoes, and that is not something I want to deal with.
Yeah, tornadoes, hurricanes.
Yeah, all the years that I've lived here, I've experienced a few earthquakes, but nothing like terribly scary. And the fires are always scary, but we've been lucky enough to not be subject to that. So, or to be, really have lost anything to it. It's always been scary, but we've
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. A lot of people lost even complete studios and music and records. Like the amount of people that were in the music community that lost a lot in the fires. That's something that it's wow.
It's heartbreaking to see that happen. It really is.
So there's been a lot of things that has happened since 2021. And that was the last time we had you on the podcast.
2021.
It was a very I was doing it for about just a year, a little over a year, and then Luna came on board. He said, "Oh, I want to be your co-host. You're interviewing too many cool drummers." And I was like, "Well, I mean, he's a techie guy, as you know, so." Yeah. We ended up doing some really cool podcasts, and then I started getting like more and more drummers. And to think, now we've had probably over 80 drummers now. Well over 80.
Yeah, a lot of drummers on our show.
Yeah,
we love drummers.
I mean, heartbeat of the music, right? So it's been an evolution and a journey. And we did replay one of the last one that we did with Mike, and it's insane how many things has come into fruition, and without him even realizing, he ended up like doing all the things that he spoke about and how he dreamed of. And
yeah, it's like, it would be great to play with Primus, and then and there he is.
It's just everything. So how has it been? I mean, let's rewind and think about that. There's been just a few things that we mentioned in the last podcast that just became like, oh, and I'm doing this now. And then we were watching it together when we had it live, and it's wild to look back.
It really is. The first thing was, I talked a lot about Secret Chiefs 3 in my last outing with you. And that actually, I ended up literally working with Trey, doing Secret Chiefs 3 new music, which I had been, hoping for some new music from the band for for several years now, and
right.
Here I am. I got to do, one recording with them that was a remote deal, and then a full-on 5-day recording session with them. Doing all new material, which so there's like a full album worth of material that's not out yet, but is cooking, and I can't wait to hear that. But that was literally, watching the replay of the old episode and all the talking that I did about Secret Chiefs 3 and how much I admired them, and I believe I opened the stream. The interview last time playing a cover.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, basically, and get this. This is one of the most interesting parts about the whole thing. 2 weeks before I got a message from Trey Spruance about, asking if I would be interested in working with him, I had a dream that I was in this very room working with Trey Spruance. And on some music, like he was working on some of my stuff and I was working on some of his stuff, and then the dream became very, very bizarre, as my dreams often do. The house turned into a castle, and then suddenly it was 2 other people in here that were with Trey, but so I was working with them, and then it devolved into just this psychedelic, crazy, weird dream. And literally 2 weeks later, I was at a grocery store after work, I was picking up some beer at the time, and I got a message from Trey Spruance asking if I would be interested in working with the band, and I was just freaking out.
You were floored.
Yeah, completely floored. I could barely contain myself in the store, and so he ended up sending me a bunch of demos of new stuff that he'd been working on, and I spent the next several months just working on woodshedding that stuff, because it was ridiculously complicated. You know how it is when somebody who's not primarily a drummer starts writing with a drum machine.
Oh yeah, play this, and it's like,
yeah.
Okay.
So he's got a really unique rhythmic perspective to begin with, which is one of the things that I've always loved about his music so much. The stuff that he wrote was really out of left field for me, and required a lot of just repetition and study. Picking sections and just looping them, so that I could just go over and over and try and get them in the muscle memory. That's one of the great things about this setup that I have here is I can have Logic Pro running right here on this screen in front of me, and then I've got I can have the sheet music is just like scrolling across the bottom as I'm playing. And I'm not a proper sight reader, but having those shapes going across the bottom just help to really ingrain that as you're going. So anyway, I worked on that for quite some time before actually going into the studio. And while I was working on that, we ended up getting the opportunity to do a track for a tribute to Sun Ra for redhot.org, which is a nonprofit organization that raises money for research that goes towards the treatment of communicable diseases like AIDS. So that was very exciting. But for that one, that was a super jazzy thing. Of course, if anybody's familiar with Sun Ra, he was very much an avant-garde jazz guy that was extremely prolific. Did a ton of recordings and really, really neat stuff that I'm only just now diving into because of being exposed through this experience.
Yeah.
Really, really cool stuff.
And that's up your alley too. It's like, you like the experimental approach to like drumming, it's like the not conventional but like rhythmic introduction to playing your set.
Yes, very much. And that particular track is the jazziest thing I've ever done in my life. And it's just me on drums, Trey doing guitar and keyboard, and he actually programmed percussion for it, which is that ended up being left in the track as well, and it sounds really cool. And Tim Smollins from Stratosphere and the High Castle Tele Orchestra, he's again one of my favorite musicians. Like, I was a huge fan of Stratosphere. And anybody who likes experimental music should check out Stratosphere, because they were just really a powerhouse band that not that many people know about, but they really mixed a ton of genres and were very much, it was almost kind of like band geek music, but mixing everything from klezmer to death metal to 8-bit electronic, really just all
I
over
love that. I love that because I love anything that plays with genre mixing or experimental blending that's me right there, because that's one of the reasons why when I saw you in your stream and I was like, this guy does everything that I wish I could see a drummer do, like just and when the looping, remember when you would do the looping and just create your own like on the fly. And I was like, this guy is like a mad scientist with the drums. And then you had like all these different tools. And I just thought it was like.
Yeah, look at him. Look at all the stuff around him. He's
in a spaceship, right? He's in his own spaceship.
He's got a looper on the left.
Yeah, the looper. I've just in the last year I've been experimenting with that, and that ends up being mainly, mainly with guitar and keyboards and a lot of iPad um, uh, synthesizers and samplers and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Actually, very little drumming ends up going through this, but this tool is this thing is just super cool.
Which one is that one?
This is the Boss RC505 Mark II. So you've got 5 channels of looping capability, and each one of them you can stack as many as 5 loops on just that channel, and then you can be running all kinds of effects through it, or running your loops through all kinds of effects, both coming in and going out. So it's really facilitated a lot of very interesting creation it's gotten me back into doing my own personal avant-garde stuff that I do under the name of Demiso. Because I had kind of gotten away from that with all the projects that I've been working on, with all the work that I've gotten with Atomic Groove. I haven't, I work with them constantly, so it's I don't get a whole lot of time to just do free exploration. So having this has allowed me to periodically, I'll just set aside just a few minutes. Honestly, I'll just come in here and just like start grabbing sounds and just start playing with them and looping them, and then it ends up becoming something, which is what I used to do with early Demiso stuff. When I got my first hard disk recorders back here, the old Boss BR 1180. I think I got that in like 2000 or 2001, and started experimenting with recording with that. I used to just spend hours playing around with my keyboards or with the guitars and with the effects until I would come up with something that sounded neat to me. It was really, free exploration without really being terribly concerned about if it would actually appeal to anybody else, which I think is a great way to approach art in general. I mean,
It is
something said for both directions, obviously. I mean, we want to be heard and we want to resonate with other people, but I do feel like a large part of being an artist in any way is to do stuff that is appealing to you and be honest about it, and you will eventually you're going to find somebody that likes it. Now, the stuff that I do from my own enjoyment it can be a little abrasive and kind of
like an acquired taste.
Yeah.
You gotta be your authentic self.
Yeah.
Like what he said, you have to enjoy what you're playing so it can have your soul.
It's also like it's like an understanding too, right? It's like you have to understand the art to really appreciate it too, because a banana on a canvas.
Understand. Sometimes I don't think you have to. Sometimes it's something that attracts you, but you don't know what it is.
Well,
and
some
then
people
you
don't understand.
Dive into it.
Some people don't understand a banana on a canvas, and they're like, "Why is there a banana on the canvas that sold for like $3 million?"
And then he took it off
and then they ate it. But apparently that's art to some people.
That's art.
Yes, indeed.
So
and much of my favorite music is really out there. I mean, my favorite album of all time is Mr. Bungle's Disco Volante, and that the first literally the first time I heard that album, I felt betrayed. Like their previous album was, it mixed all these genres and really was something that I had never heard before, but it did have kind of a ubiquitous sound that went through it. And then, Disco Volante came out and it was a completely different experience. And I didn't get it. It went right over my head for the first several listens, and I was like, "What the hell happened?
What is this?"
It went from my favorite band to like, I don't know what happened. What's going on here? And then I was drawn back to listen to it, several weeks later, and little bits started to speak to me, and I started, really absorbing what was going on there, and the more I listened to it, the more it became clear to me, and it really is. It's like that. The album opens with one of the most challenging things to listen to. It's called "Everyone I Went to High School With Is Dead,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it is freaking cacophonous noise. And it's almost as if they opened the album with that to say, like, I dare you to listen to this. Go ahead. I dare you to
Good
take
luck.
it through
And then the rest of the album.
Oh,
That's like when I heard Dream Theater after Portnoy left, and then I couldn't, like, Mangini is just a machine, right? So it took a little bit to get used to his playing style with Dream Theater, and I just couldn't get into it until like later on when they came out with their the last album with the Alien, and then they started bringing back some of the Dream Theater elements. And then Portnoy comes back, and then I'm like, wait, I want Mangini back now because
It's so
I'm so used to
weird.
this, and I'm like, I don't know if I can get into this new stuff with Portnoy because to me it's like redundancy, and it's like I'm used to this. I don't see anything new.
They need to get experimental. That's what it is.
Yeah. So and then after a few listens, you're like, okay, I can see where this is going,
But he was disappointed. He felt betrayed too.
Yeah.
Because he's like, this sounds like a mashup of like this song and that song, and then they did like a callback on lyrics and things like that, which could be nice and quirky, and I think it's cool. But he started feeling like the same feeling, and then
It's like,
after
this is
a while,
boring.
yeah, and then after a while, he's like, oh well, I could get into it, I guess, but it didn't. It wasn't the first.
It's still not sitting
Yeah.
yet, but
So it'd be like that sometimes.
There's a great lesson to be had in that. I mean, we can often put our own expectations on what we want to hear rather than being open for a new experience. And that was one of the things that Disco Volante taught me big time was, I went into it wanting more of the same of what they were doing before, but what artist really wants to be stuck in the same vein indefinitely? I mean, of course there are examples. Let's take like Meshuggah for example. They've stayed in the same vein, but they continue to develop it like more and more, and they've maintained the same sound and the same general feel, but it just keeps evolving as they go. But we get in this space where we want to hear something, and that kind of shuts off the receptors to be open for a new experience that might be just as enriching, if not more. So,
Oh yeah, for sure. Even with my favorite artist, Chris Cornell, people were really upset when he did the Scream album, when he did the solo album, and he worked with Timbaland, and it was like electronic music with guitars and everything. Like live, it was amazing, but it was very like highly produced, and it was a very different genre. And people were like, "Oh, he sold out." He said, "But I enjoyed it." But then when you go to the all the bands he's been in, like Audio Slave, and the albums for Soundgarden all sounded different. Like some of them from Screaming Life that sounded kind of punk rock, and then the sludge and the grungy sounds of the next album. And then Down on the Upside was almost like alternative rock with some metal in there. And then Bad Motorfinger was the album before that was metal. It was the most metal grunge album that everybody didn't realize it wasn't really that grungy, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's why I liked him so much, because he was doing a bunch of like different genres. And then he did an acoustic album and very slow, Euphoria Morning. So it's, for me, I get excited when I see them kind of get out their like typical sound and experiment. I mean, the Sky Museum, that's what I want. I want it to have different blends of genres with different artists and collaborate with artists that bring that. Because when you're in a museum, you see all the different floors and the paintings, and they're not all the same, but they're in the same building, right? So appreciating every era and the different colors.
I mean, our songs are completely different from each other.
Oh yeah,
You know.
very different. So I'm into that. For me, Mike, you're like the one that I could say like I am comfortable with. Whoa, what's happening?
We got a raid!
We got a raid.
nice.
Oh, welcome Raiders.
Bloody Sin coming in with a party of 6. Let's go!
Thank you so much for coming in. You guys, Bloody Sin, thank you so much for that raid. We are here with this amazing man right here of the hour, Mike Stone, drummer of Atomic Groove, and he's played with so many legends. We were just talking about it before we went live, and I'm like, hold on, we got to save this for the podcast. So tell us, what was the last song that you collaborated with? Because there was with some big names.
Well, I got Secret Chiefs here. Do you want to listen to that?
That was a super exciting moment for me, was being able to actually, be out there as one of the drummers for Secret Chiefs 3, because they're just one of my all-time favorite bands, and this song is a real kind of milestone for me, as pretty much the jazziest thing that I've ever done, and of course being on a recording with one of my favorite bands is just over the moon for me.
So this is Secret Chiefs 3, Trey Spruance. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Trey Spruance.
Spruance. Love in Outer Space.
I love the title.
Ooh, let's hear it. That's some intricate stuff, man.
It's it's really kind of crazy and interesting for sure.
It's I can hear like that the jazz in the beginning, and you have a little bit of that drag beat in the on the second portion of that.
Yes, and it kicks back up to some more jazziness towards the end of it. But yeah, really cool stuff, and that is significantly different from, well, I would say from the original, but I've been exposed to several versions of that very song from Sun Ra. So I mean, it was pretty clear that he would re-explore his own material in different ways throughout his career. So there's a lot of variance there. But that's a really exciting album all together. Laurie Anderson's on that, and that's that's
wow.
like she's an avant-garde queen, basically, you know. So that's super cool. And there's a bunch of artists on there. You should definitely check out that whole album, because I actually it exposed me to a ton of artists that I had never heard of before, with different backgrounds. One of them, one of the artists on there is playing auto harp, but in ways that I have never heard any
Wow.
auto harp. There's one of the artists on there is much more of a in a kind of a hip hop kind of bend. Some of the stuff on there is really soundscapey. It's the whole album is really cool. I actually got it on vinyl, which is also, that's the first time that I've ever had a copy of me playing anything on vinyl.
Vinyl. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm so
super
happy for
exciting.
you.
So yeah, that particular track that came together in like a 2-week span. Like he just sent me his demo of it and said, "Hey, can you find some place to track this?" So I went to my friend Neil's studio down in San Diego and spent a day just tracking the drums for that, so I could send him like 8 different takes on it. And it just I was super stoked how that came out. It really, I mean, hearing it back after all the rest of the parts were done on it, I was just literally choked up and excited about it, and
That's
super
awesome.
cool.
Yeah. It's definitely
so
a
that-
fun experience.
Yeah, but that was just a one-off thing, and in the meantime, I was in here working on. I went from doing live streams like 3 or 4 times a week to almost not at all, because I had to focus so much on this stuff.
You're busy.
Yeah, of course.
So, I mean, in the last couple of years, I've barely live streamed at all, and I really miss it. But I've been so busy,
Busy doing great things.
best way.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing. Working on that project, that actually was a catalyst for me to stop drinking alcohol as well. So I'm now at almost 23 months of no alcohol.
I'm so proud of you, Mike. I'm
Let's
so proud of
go.
you. 23, you said?
Yeah.
Wow. Yes, 23 months strong. I wonder how many months is it for me, I guess, if anybody's really amazing at math. But yeah, it's been 13 years for me, going on 14 years where
Nice.
I haven't drank any alcohol. I always say I became a champ really young, and then I just decided to retire, like it was enough for me. So I stopped and I never looked back. And when I speak to different musicians, and we had Dave Murata here
Mhm.
that's touring, and he was saying how he doesn't drink either. And I said, wow, we're a rare breed, right? And he said that, there's a lot more people. I think the new cool is not drinking. Like, I'm noticing more and more people are like opting to like, nah, I don't need it anymore, or I don't desire it anymore. How do you feel that it was the process now that it's been 23 months for you?
Well, it was honestly, I came home from a gig one night, and we only had 2 beers left in the fridge, and my wife and I, we both cracked a beer, and we were just kind of looking at each other, and we went, well, maybe we should just take a break from this for a while, because it just felt like, I mean, in the back of my mind, I always knew that it wasn't good for me, but it's so normalized in this society, and it's been so ubiquitous in my life, especially being a musician and playing in bars for now almost 40 years. I've been playing in bars, and
Oh, yeah.
so well, maybe not almost 40. And so I started performing in bars when I was 16. So, and I had already been drinking by then.
Yeah.
I actually quit drinking when I was 18 just to make sure that I could, and didn't start back up again until I was like 20. Yeah, about halfway through 20. is when I finally felt like I think it's okay to have a beer now. But I spent a lot of time being a professional drinker, and when I say that, I mean, you know, outwardly, I guess I appeared to be, you know, very functional, and you know, I was functioning, but you know, what felt normal to me during all that time, you know, in hindsight, it's like, man, that was not normal at all, you know. But it was so normalized, and I was functional, and I was making progress, but deep down inside, I knew it wasn't good for me, and you know, just that one little switch of, you know, my wife saying, yeah, maybe we should take a break from this, you know. So we thought at first it was going to be like, you know, a dry month, and once I got a couple of weeks away from it, and I had this incredible project that I was working on that was like the most challenging music that I've ever worked on, and I was making progress every day that I would come in here and work. I was doing something that I was unable to do the day before, and I was just getting, that was so much better of a high, you know. I just, after a few weeks of not drinking, I was like, you know, I just don't think I want to drink anymore, you know.
You have more clarity.
The fog is lifted, everything. It's like you put that energy into so many other things, and then you start seeing things kind of like happen in a more positive way because your mind is more clear, and like you're like, wow, I never felt like this before.
Yeah,
and
when
you never look back.
She first met me, I used to drink a lot, and
like
then
all the time, like.
And then, like, you know,
I almost left him. I was like, I think he has a problem.
I moved, and you know, and I was fine, like, you know, no drinks at home or anything like that. And then for a while now, like, I probably will only have like one every other month or 2 months, right?
Sure.
I think the longest is now is like 3 months that I haven't had a drink. But even then,
he's
I
on
will
a streak right now.
I will only have like one, and I won't even finish it. It was like half of one, and I'm like, okay, like,
because he would be one of those people that his whole personality changed, and I didn't like it, and I was like, I think maybe you should calm down.
And I thought I was fine, but then you know, that's the false reality you live in when you're drinking in that sense, you know. But I mean, you know, after some time, you know, I agree. Like you get that clarity, you know, you get that drive, that motivation. You feel more energized. Before, after a show, you know, you're not clouded, and you can better articulate your playing. You can better articulate yourself, and it's just better for you overall.
So much more of a solid player without that. I mean, it's I used to. You know, we do things to kind of, you know, reassure ourselves that we're you know, doing something for ourselves, or you know, I deserve a treat, or I need this to calm my nerves before I go on stage, and it's like, no, you don't.
Just do a couple of push-ups. You're good.
Yeah, I mean, I've anymore. I just, you know, I'm warming up with some extra heavy sticks on a pad, and then, you know, get up on stage. It's like once my equipment is all set, I feel like I'm at home. Like all the anxiety kind of melts away as soon as the equipment's ready.
And it's a real self-love too, because when I hear people say I needed to socialize, I needed to relax, it's like, do you not like being yourself completely and authentically you because you need to alter that by drinking something? And that's concerning to me. And then I crack the code. I'm like, I think they might not be comfortable being just exactly who they are 100% and show up as themselves. So I mean, that's kind of the way I feel when people say that to me. I'm like, what do you mean you need it?
I think it's like, you know, you get a sense of comfort when you're intoxicated because you don't think. And
the inhibition.
And because of that, because you don't think, you say things you shouldn't say, you know?
And you're like, what happened?
And then you're shooting yourself in the foot, you know?
Yeah. There's a lot of things that improve when you stop drinking, you know. But it's
really,
and I like that you're very vocal about it, because it's hard sometimes. Some people need to hear it.
Yeah, and that was one of the clues that I was getting too, is like, if somebody else said something on social media about, you know, being sober, I used to find that annoying. Like, there was kind of mentality that if somebody was talking about living sober, that you were being
Like, so you think you're better than us?
or oh, you're one of those guys that now that you stop drinking, you think nobody should drink. And
Yeah.
you know, that was a tell. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who knows what a tell is, it's
If it's
it's
triggering you, then you have a problem.
learning to read your own tells is kind of an important tool to growth. When you start noticing, you're basically calling yourself out by being triggered by something like that, you know, and being able to recognize that, which I didn't recognize until after. Like when you know, if somebody had told me, I think, you know, maybe you should cut back on the drinking. I think I would have gone like, well, you know, what the hell do you know? You know, you don't know me. Well, if somebody's telling you, you know, and nobody really was either.
Yeah,
Because
like
it's a social norm. That's why.
Yeah.
It
you
is
know.
a social norm, and you know, when I've with some people that I've talked to about this, they've said, well, it's not like you were a heavy drinker. Well, I was able to pile down a significant amount of beer every night without really feeling buzzed, you know? I mean, I was putting away a lot of beers on a daily basis, and you know, that was like not getting drunk, but, you know, I'm ingesting all these calories that I didn't need, and it's a carcinogen, and, you know, it's just, you know, now that it's not part of my life, I feel like
you're shining. Yeah, I could see it. You're like, you look great, Mike.
Thank you.
And it's just
It's the lighting.
coming out. Yes.
It's the lighting.
It's
It's also your
everything.
health too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does everything.
I sleep so much better now. You know, I'm so clear with, you know, with what I'm doing, and my career is doing so much better now. You know, I just have so much better to focus on than trying to escape myself, you know.
Put it into the work, put it into the music. Secretly, I've told him, I'm like, well, why don't you consider just not drinking anymore? He's like, I don't have a problem not to stop drinking. But I never put it on him like you should, right? It should be something that
It's got to be
you
a willing
feel,
thing,
right? Because it's like,
something
yeah.
decide for yourself. It
Yeah.
really is. And,
So it's
you
good
know,
to have a partner that
I think, like, for me, I won't go out and buy something, right? I won't go in, like, I don't have the urge to go and want to have a drink, right? I think it's like, for me, it's if someone was to purchase me one drink, I'd be like, fine, you know? I don't want to, like, be like a dick and be like, okay, I don't drink, you know?
I mean,
you
I
bought me this
do.
for nothing.
because when you're a singer, people want to buy you drinks or bring you a you know.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem saying no, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, water is fine, or I bring my own water because I don't trust anything.
But in the same vein as, like, you know, how Mike said that when someone comes and tells you that, you know, you shouldn't drink anymore, or that, you know, they're sober, it you know, from their own self, you know, reflection of them being offended from that, you know, I'd rather have a slightly peaceful interaction than anything.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, that's probably would be the only time if that were to ever happen, and 9 times out of 10 it doesn't, so I'm fine.
So, so that's been one of the benefits of doing all these projects as well, as it's allowed me to hyper focus on just bettering myself and for you know, getting my career further on. And that's just, you know, that's just one of the pluses that's arisen out of this is stopping drinking. I mean, it's saving me money. It's helping me health wise and focus wise, and my playing has improved dramatically. I mean, I always feel like I was, you know, going on an upward curve with because I play so much. That, I mean, how can you not improve when you're playing so many hours a week, you know? But when it's much more focused, and plus I've my teaching practice has gotten more active as well. So that's that grows you in a completely different way, because you start looking from the perspective of not just the teacher, but also as a student, because you're trying to communicate concepts to people in a way that maybe you take for granted, but is completely new to the student, and that kind of rewires how your brain's looking at things that you already do, and allows you to also form new ideas for your own playing, because you're looking from that fresh perspective. So that's also great.
Yeah. Let's talk about your setup. Like, did you add anything new since the last time we've had you on?
Well,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's probably a lot of different things, but anything recent?
This is almost a completely different setup from what I did last time. When for the last interview I did with you, I was playing a mostly acoustic kit with some of these pads and the wave drum, and this is now an entirely electronic setup. What I have going on here. This is
entirely.
Entirely. This is an F Note 5 kit, and with some additional Yamaha pads, and I've got this Yamaha DTX Multi 12 also, that actually a friend of mine gave me that, and that's super fun. So I'm basically running the pads that have this, plus these guys are hooked up to the same unit, and then just basic F Note 5 with the wave drum, which I had. The wave drum I was using with the previous kit for last time I was on, and the pads that I was using on the last performance were hooked up to my Yamaha EAD10, which I use for my live rig all over the place. So yeah, this is basically this setup is entirely electronic, and we've got all kinds of stuff going on with this, but
bells and whistles.
Yeah, it's dramatically more controllable for working in the house, because the place I used to live in had garage space that I could use for playing a live kit. So I used to have everything set up and mic'd and ready to go for live tracking. And I really miss that, because this is still this is an amazing setup, and I love playing it. But people aren't typically reaching out to me to record electronic kit for a project. They want acoustic drums. So I'm still when I was last on your show, I was using acoustic drums here, but really, I mean, it was so loud as to be oppressive for my poor wife. she was putting up with so much. I'd be in here doing like 4-hour sessions on Twitch, and she was out there patiently waiting for just she put up with so much with that, and it was really quite a relief for her when we ended up getting this instead, because it's still I mean, there's whapping sounds being heard outside, but my neighbors are a lot happier.
Not as abrasive.
I mean, the neighbors don't hear it at all, and it's much easier to deal with for anybody in the house, and that allows me to practice some of the most obnoxious stuff without really driving anybody crazy.
Yeah, we've transitioned to an e-kit for our live shows, like taking it out and playing live.
We did it for 2 shows,
yeah,
right?
it does help a lot, especially like stage sound. It doesn't bleed into the mic as much, like while she's singing, because we had an issue before where like the cymbals and like everything was blaring right into the microphone, and she's a very dynamic singer, so and she likes to move around, so being near the drums like that, it does pick up so much. So I figure let's try the e-kit and see how that works, and it sounds so much cleaner, and it cuts right through, especially if you have a good person to mix it in right.
Yes. And I have yet to try an e-kit for a live show, other than, I mean, I've done some casino work where you're just basically showing up and playing on their kit, walk in with a pair of drumsticks and my in-ear monitors, and just play for 4 hours and then go home.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a different thing, but like to bring this setup would be an ordeal. I mean, I've got there are so many cables and wires running in here. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the other thing is the caveat is having to plug things in versus everything else.
And for the most part, I'm still using the same GMS kit for all my live stuff, and I bring the wave drum to almost everything, because there's so many sounds in this thing that work great for the music that I get hired for the most. And other than that, I bring a ton of little percussive bits, lots of little jam blocks, cowbell, rhythm crasher or ribbon crasher, tambourines, that kind of thing, all sorts of bells and blocks. So yeah, this setup is completely different from the last time that I was on the show.
It's a nice upgrade. Yeah, I like the F notes. I tried them when we went to the UK drum show.
Yeah, we went to Liverpool to the UK drum show, and it was we did we do a little interview with the guy too? A little bit?
we have to cut that up and post
There's a bunch of clips that we still have yet to post, but it was such a fun time to see all the gear and stuff. And speaking of, I know you went to NAMM this year.
NAMM.
Oh, I go every year.
Every year. Yeah, we want to plan to go next year. And we met up with Mike, guys, for a TwitchCon, which was, what year was it? 2022?
22?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
That was right when, that was right at the beginning of when I started working on the Secret Chiefs material.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that you had a project.
Us, and it was like on the hush, like we didn't say anything. You're like, yeah. And then you were telling us a bunch of stuff.
So excited. It was difficult to sit on that information for a while, because it really was a bit of a secret, and I was just like bursting inside. And
here we are talking about it. Now we can talk about it. Yes.
And now we can talk about it. And the same thing with the whole Primus thing. That was.
Tell us, how did that even happen? Like, we got to rewind and talk about that right now, because that is something that we were like, Jesus, what an exciting thing to see you be a part of that.
That was easily the most exciting thing that's happened to me in my musical career. I've been a fan of Primus since like 1989. Literally the first time I saw them. There are a few bands that really were game changers for me. King Crimson is one. Primus is another. Mr. Bungle is another. And those three bands right there were just complete mind blowers for me, as far as a band that would show that you could really break all the rules, that there really are no rules. I mean, you can take this musical spaceship anywhere you want to go. And that's one of the first time I saw Primus was on MTV's 120 Minutes. It was the video John the Fisherman.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw that, I was just blown away. Like, I had no idea that what they were doing was even allowed. And when I say that to some people, they're like, "What do you mean you didn't know that was allowed?" I didn't know that was a possibility, to make sounds the way they were making sounds. Like, same thing with King Crimson, same thing with Mr. Bungle. They were doing things that I had never even conceived of hearing. I came from a background of rock and blues and blues rock.
Yeah.
So to be exposed to bands that were just completely charting their own path, and of course with influences from different genres and different styles, but making completely new flavors out of those existing things, that was just mind blowing. So I've been following them for forever. I've seen them live like 6 or 7 times. I've seen Les Claypool and a couple of other projects, like the Holy Mackerel, and I saw him with Duo de Twang. Met him a few times over the years. I ended up becoming friends with their longtime drum technician, Tim Soya, who's also the drummer for Victims Family, which is an incredible 3-piece, kind of like avant-garde punk. Really, really cool stuff. But I became friends with him because of Facebook. I met him through Facebook, and we started chatting drums and just ended up becoming friends. Well, so he's kind of how I got into this was really before anybody knew, that Primus's drummer Tim Alexander had left. My friend Tim sent me a text going, "Hey, I need you to send me some video of you playing."
Yeah.
Oh shit.
What's it for? And he's like, "I can't say." I'm like,
Just send it to me.
all right.
Just listen to me. Believe me. You gotta send me your stuff.
So I sent him some stuff, and he's like, "Well, that's good, but keep working." Keep just kind of think in this direction. But he wouldn't say, there was no clue what it was. And he works for a lot of he techs for a lot of big name drummers. Like, he's worked for Roger Waters' drummer.
Wow.
Damn it.
I mean, to
I
me,
can see
that's
it.
like the top right there.
For Beck, for Sheryl Crow, he worked for the Beastie Boys. He drum teched for a bunch of just amazing bands. So like, if he says, "Hey, you should send me some footage," I'm on it. You know?
Yeah.
So this was before any of it was public with Primus. So I didn't even suspect. I'd always kind of dreamed about getting the chance to jam with them, or there'd been fantasies in the back of my head of, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I became their drummer one day?
Yeah. Yeah.
I never thought it would actually happen. So, I the thought crossed my mind, but I was like, no, there's no way. They've always, when they did change drummers, it was somebody that they knew already, So I didn't think there was really going to be a chance of that. But I kept, I was trying to send him all kinds of different ideas, and I was filming for several weeks, just trying to come up with different things. And I would send him some stuff, and he'd go, "Yeah, that's pretty cool," And he said, I showed some to the main guy, and he's impressed. And I'm like, okay, all right. I
To the main guy.
Still have no idea what this is for. So then one day I'm at a thrift store, because I love to go thrifting. I just, it's like a therapy session for me is to go to thrift stores and just nose around, even if I don't buy anything. I open up Instagram and I see Primus announcing that Tim Alexander had left, and I'm like, oh my God, could that actually be?
Oh man.
No. Well, it turns out that's what it was for. So, he had thrown my name in the hat like pretty early on, but I still needed to prove myself.
Yeah.
It wasn't. So I really hyper focused on it. Like, was working on trying to film examples of playing things that I would think that would fit with Primus. Trying to play, study just the whole catalog, even though I know a lot of their material. I mean, I've played along with their stuff for decades at this point, because it's one of my favorite bands, and I just love, Tim Alexander was a huge influence on me. Jay Lane's a huge influence on me. Brain is too. I love all of his cymbal choking and his just super on the top feel. Like all three of those drummers I just love. And Brain with Praxis too. That was a huge influence on me. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Praxis, but that was Bootsy Collins, Brain on drums, Bernie Worrell, and Bill Laswell. And just really cool. And Buckethead. I'm sorry.
Buckethead.
Yeah. Buckethead is amazing too.
So that really, really crazy off the wall stuff. So that was my introduction to Brain. So to see him in Primus was like, oh well, that makes sense. So I was working on this for weeks and weeks, just trying to get footage to send, and to send for an audition, and I was just not happy with what I was coming up with. Like, everything I would do, I really got into this like hypercritical space, this hypercritical headspace, where I was just judging everything that I was doing way too harsh. Like now I go back and watch some of the stuff that I filmed, because I'm not joking. I filmed probably 80 or 90 different drum clips trying to come up with stuff that I was thinking, okay, this should do it. But no, I was so hypercritical, and now I go back and watch some of those and I'm like, holy crap, that was really cool. Like, why didn't I send that? Oh, I could have sent this, or I could have sent that.
Yeah.
That's how it is, being hypercritical and like just wanting everything to be just so.
Because you're like, I guess you're under pressure now that you were getting the idea that that's where it's going, and then you're like, shoot, like I gotta pick the best of the best clips that I've done.
Well,
and
to make it worse, I'm seeing, on YouTube and on all the socials, all of the other drummers that were putting stuff out there.
Yeah.
There's no way I can compete with that. This, I saw like Tobias Ralph was one of my favorites. He used to play with Adrian Belew from King Crimson, and he's great. He's got a great overall sound and feel. Like, he really lets the drums breathe, and he's technically really just awesome. Like, he's just got great capabilities and great sensibility overall. And I saw several of his clips, and I'm thinking, okay, he's a great fit. Or Danny Walker from Intronaut sent a bunch of videos, and he's an incredible player.
So Thomas Pridgeon was in there.
Yeah, Thomas Pridgeon's in there, but like Danny Walker, Tobias Ralph, Elliot Hoffman from Car Bomb. Those are three guys that I'm like, oh man,
you're amongst kings, because you are a king too.
But they didn't get the call back.
Yeah,
that's what's insane.
Like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me! All three of those guys, I thought, okay,
there were so many good submissions. I've seen a few.
And you were like on the top. You were in the top 9, right?
Yeah, top 9 out of just over 6,100, which is that's still mind blowing to me to even think about that. But so I had all this self doubt going into it, and then finally I just ended up putting a video together. It's about 6 minutes long of clips of me playing along with loops, a tiny bit of me playing along with a sausage song, which is one of the earlier version of Primus. It was Jay Lane and Todd Huth with Les Claypool, a really simple part. And then some improv stuff, and then at the very end of the video, I'm playing a little bit of a Primus groove, which is over the electric grapevine. One of my favorite, just kind of Tim Alexander, really almost tribal primal groove, this syncopated thing that I love. So I put that together and thought, okay, I'm shooting my shot. I've been working on this for weeks, and I'm thinking, there's no way I'm getting in. Looking at all the other people, even with somebody in the camp throwing my name in the hat, I thought, okay, he put in a good word for me, but there's no way I'm going to match up to any of these folks. And I sent in my video, and it was like the next day, I got a message back from Tim saying, okay, I'm sending this through to Les to check out, and like 20 minutes later, I got a message back saying, "You're coming through, man."
Oh wow!
I was just, holy shit! Like, we were jumping up and down in the house here, just freaking out. Like I've dreamed about jamming with them for 30 years. It's just, and to actually know that I was going to get the chance was. Yeah, that's a dream come true right there,
Were you even able to sleep that night, the night before?
Yeah.
I was pretty amped up. I'm fairly able to just shut the brain off when it's time to go to bed, but there are some times where if something that exciting is going on, it's hard. It's a little like the night before the actually, I felt pretty normal the night before the actual audition, but it wasn't until the next morning driving up to Burbank that I started to actually get kind of nervous and had to do a little bit of box breathing to just just go, okay, look, dude, you've prepared about as much as somebody could possibly prepare for this. So just go there and just relax. And yeah. So by the time I got in the room for the experience, I was back to my normal self and just relaxed. I was obviously very excited, but yeah.
So set the stage. You wake up, you get dressed. I saw the little video that you posted that it was like a clip and you said, well, I put my favorite t-shirt on, my favorite jeans, my favorite shoes, and I'm about to fucking go jam out with Primus.
Yeah.
And
That was actually the end of the day that I filmed that. But yeah, it was a little bit wild.
At the end you were like, I can't believe that this happened, right?
It's so I basically, got up like any other day and got showered, got ready, and I had prepared all my equipment the night before, so it was all loaded up, and there was going to be a kit there, so I was just bringing cymbals. I brought a couple of my snare drums, I brought my pedals, and my in-ears and all that, and just headed up and was listening to the the songs that they wanted focus on, because that's another aspect of this. Until I knew what songs they were going to actually want to go over, I was just doing a scattergun approach where I was playing along with everything. I was doing like 5 and 6 hour sessions like 3 or 4 times a week, where I was going over
the whole catalog.
Yeah, the whole catalog. So honestly, I mean, Primus, if you're listening, if you ever need a sub, I'm ready to go with like.
There he is.
That's all the goods that you need.
Yeah, we saw the posts, and we had other like a few other of our drummer friends had tried out as well, and then
I
saw
said it right away.
Yeah, we saw you. I'm like, oh man, like
he's gonna get it. I'm like,
he's got it. He's got to get
this. This is his gig, and I was like, literally. The whole time I'm like, come on, like if he doesn't, he belongs. It's part of his DNA. And that's really what, like, because I remember the last time we had you on the show and how you spoke about it, and I was like, oh. And then I have to say, when we found out that you didn't get it, we were like,
I was
like, so upset for you.
I saw that you were top 9, and I'm like, oh man, he's got to get this now. Because all the other drummers, like, I know Thomas Pridgeon, but like, he doesn't fit. He's too wild, right? And I'm like I know Primus, like they want someone experimental, right? And that is Mike Stone. Mike Stone is the epitome of experimental.
Yeah, it was like a perfect fit. But who knows? Who's to say, if anyone drops out or anything happens, they already know they got their guy right here. Yeah. Mike Stone is the one to call, if anything, okay? Because it's just, you're the perfect fit to me. I mean,
regardless, it's still, I'm still looking at this as just an overall just extreme positive, because it's not only did I get the chance to actually jam for an hour with one of my all-time favorite bands, this brought my public visibility as a player up dramatically. This is only going to be this is only going to lead to more opportunities, and this is one of the most validating things ever.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like back in 2017, I was on an album that had that my friend Carl King put out, that has Virgil Donati and Marco Miniman and Thomas Lang and Dave Elich and Travis Orban, all these just monster drummers, and I was in there too, but like this was I wasn't in like competition with any of them on that. This was a completely different thing, where it's like, not only am I getting to shoot for a dream job, but I was being placed in such rare company with all these just well-known and accomplished drummers, and even the drummers that aren't that weren't as well known in the actual group. They're all just great freaking players. Like Rory Dolan, I was only just introduced to him through this, but if you follow his stuff with Liz Special, he's an outstanding player. He's got, I felt like between all of the candidates, either myself, I thought I was a great candidate, but I'm
Me too.
obviously
The
very.
best.
Rory was one of the other ones that I thought he was one of the best candidates for it, and Sam Groveman, who if you don't know his name, I bet you've seen his clips, because he does all these clips of him replicating just programmed drum beats, like some of the most famous programmed drum beats that don't seem like they're really possible. Like you need to be holding onto a shaker with a stick while you're playing, the hand claps.
Yeah.
While he's doing, the bongo parts over here, and the cowbell part, and the snare, and the hi-hat, all with his left hand, and he's
Innovative for
great
sure.
at that kind of. So I know he's just an amazing player, and I felt like, Primus is always, every time they've had a new drummer, they've really embraced the style of that drummer. Like Jay Lane sounds completely different than Tim Alexander, and Brain sounds different from all three of them. So I knew, it felt like they were very open for a new direction. I felt like Sam Grossman would be, he would be a great like a great one to take them in a new direction. So I felt like we were the three best choices, but still, Thomas Pridgeon, I've only seen him live one time, and that was with Mars Volta. And when I tell people about that, it's like he looked like a controlled tornado back behind the kit. All you could see was dreadlocks and sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And flow, just such great flow. He's just incredible. And then, you got Thomas Lang and Gergo Borlai. I've actually, studied under both of them through the Thomas Lang Big Drum Bonanza events, like where you go for 5 days and you're just immersed in drumming with instruction from these just incredible players.
Wait, did Thomas actually audition?
Yeah, he was the final day. So
wow.
Yeah, so the whole lineup of auditioners was Rory was the very first one, and then Thomas Pridgeon. Then I was the first one on the second day. Then Stan Bicknell from New Zealand on the same day with me, but after mine. The next day they did, I believe it was Sam Groveman and Nikki Glaspie, and oh boy, I'm blanking. So who was the other one? Damn it. Well, anyway, now I'm going to feel bad later when I remember
If
who
it
it
comes
was.
back to you, just say it.
Yeah.
In the middle of whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information to hold on to.
Yeah.
So day 4 was just Gergo Borlai, and day 5 was just Thomas Lang. And then at the end of day 5, they had Danny Carey was there, and Stu Strickland, and
I heard they crashed the party.
Sorry, that's why I'm not remember. It was John Hoffman on the third day. He's who got the gig. And I was really only aware of him through his social media and like streaming presence. Like I'd seen a ton of his clips, and he's super, his video output is super colorful, and he's obviously an outstanding player and super creative, and so he's a great fit for them. But obviously I was disappointed to not get the gig, but at the same time it's like this is an enormous positive.
I mean, stamp on your resume, like.
Oh my God, yeah. Like I've gotten just an avalanche of positive feedback from this experience, and so much validation, and people just saying the nicest things to me over this whole thing. Not just about my playing, but I've had the nicest things said about my personality and
all of it is true.
Oh my God, this is easily the most validating thing I've ever been through, because I feel like so much more confident about my own abilities and how I can work with other people, and this is just overwhelming positives.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I feel like that's something that we've all known, but it took that event and that dream to come true for it to just sink in, baby, and be like, wow. I mean, living in that moment too, like when you were in there on the throne and you looked around, like how did that feel?
Oh, it was wild. There were several moments, because there was, during the beginning of the audition, Les just started improvising, and I just jumped in. So we did 2 prolonged improvs where it was just like call and response. He would do something, I would do something. Lair would do something. I'd try and fit in with whatever was going on, and I'm trying to add to the conversation while being very much a listener. So I was really on edge for that portion of the program. And I think I was maybe a little more stiff during that than, once we started doing actual Primus songs. I was like, okay, now here we go. I know this stuff inside and out. But it felt really comfortable. And there were several moments where I just got so in the moment that maybe I was just looking down and just playing, and then I look up and there's Les and there's Lair. Like, holy shit, this is literally happening right now.
Yeah.
Mike is with Primus just jamming out. What a dream.
It was like a dream. Yeah, I mean, that was super exciting, and just I mean, everything you would dream it to be, honestly. I mean, just throwing ideas and in a relaxed environment and they had the room set up super cool. Just great atmosphere, and the whole thing was super mellow and just normal.
What was the funniest thing that you could share that was said in that room? Like if you were a fly in the wall and you were like, oh, this happened, and it's stuck with you, and it's a funny thing.
I honestly, I'm not sure, because it's I was so in the moment that I know there's a lot went on that I don't even remember, because
It's like
I was
surreal moments.
I was trying to be on top of everything. The things that stand out is Les said a lot of really nice things about my style and control on the hi-hats, which I think now this is becoming a recurring theme. Like that was one of the first things Trey Spruance communicated to me was, when he reached out, he was like, you might be wondering why, with all the drummers that I have, why am I reaching out to another drummer? And he's like, I specifically really enjoy what you do with the hi-hats. And it's like, okay, I think that might actually be my signature thing, is how I play hi-hats.
Yeah.
It is an area of focus for me, and I do that with my students a lot too. I really have them focus on that, because hi-hats are the most expressive part of the drum set, in my opinion. That's really, really heartening to have one of my heroes be remarking on something specifically that I do that I feel is kind of a signature thing for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We have a video clip that we want to share.
Yeah, so this one is the
Primus Interstellar.
there he is.
That was it.
This is the promo that they did, right?
Yes. So I can't wait to see the actual. They're doing full on. They're doing full on like documentary style clips for every one of the auditions, and that's Stan there on the kit currently. So each one of us is getting our own episode, and that was another thing. It's like when they did finally let everybody know who actually got the drum chair, they said, look, I'm sure you're probably disappointed to not be the one chosen, but please know that you're all going to be represented in very positive light.
That's awesome.
You look amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the footage.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. That's exciting.
They interviewed me before the audition and again after the audition, and of course they had us all send like an introductory video before the audition happened, and on top of the video audition that I sent in, which I was going to say earlier, what I ended up sending in was a lot of old clips. Like it wasn't even like current stuff. It was just stuff that showed, my general style, and I just picked stuff that was representative of what I sound like, and that was
Sorry, did you have to sign like an NDA or like agreement forms or release forms?
yeah, there wasn't so much of a non-disclosure as just signing off on the rights for using that video, so they could use any of the video that they took in perpetuity. So that's like, yeah, no problem. you're gonna film me playing with Primus, yeah, please. I'll agree to that no matter what. Yeah, so nothing that I would have called an NDA, but it was kind of implied that they didn't want everybody just sharing all the details before everything was out. So like I haven't shared
No spoilers.
Yeah, I haven't shared what songs we did, but I mean you can get a hint of what songs we did by watching the you can watch Rory's episode for that's the first episode, and it's pretty much the same what we did. That was so I can say there, yeah, we did those damn blue collared tweakers, which I love that song.
Yeah, it's a great one.
I did get to play Tommy the Cat with them, which was so fitting with me being such a cat person. Yeah. So
we have the other clip. It's your Primus audition video.
Yeah.
Is this the one that you submitted?
That's the one that I submitted, yeah.
Let's take a look.
Let's take a look at it. Mike Stone, Primus drum audition. Looks so good there, Mike.
That was like in 2014 there.
Ah.
Wow.
You haven't changed a bit.
Yeah.
Well, I have to wear glasses now.
Oh. Like, now that you mentioned the hi-hat thing, I'm like focusing on your hi-hat play, and yeah, it's like you have a nice touch to it.
Oh, thank you so much.
This one from one of your streams?
Yeah, actually, one of my earlier streams.
You know, if you just took the drums off of this could literally be an intro to a song. As is in its mix, because it's like muffled and it's like in the background. Or it could just be a layer, which would be great. Ah, yeah, the Secret Chiefs.
Yeah.
Hey! Pattern on this is intricate.
Oh yeah.
the mix of this has like a almost like an electronic element to it too.
Yeah, that's using the EAD10,
Ah,
the capture of the kit.
it sounds nice.
And that's the room that I was doing all of my rehearsal for this at.
There's like a little octobond in between the two snares.
Oh yes. No, that's actually a floor tom on the left.
Oh. So which one was
Nice
this?
space. Such a nice space.
That's for a recording session with the Drabs in also in 2023. Or possibly 22, actually. But yeah, beautiful room. That is a vintage Camco kit there.
Sounds so nice. Boomy. Like the mallet work. See, experimental.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the pepper I like. Experiment.
Peppa. You can lay a groove. See that?
Yeah, so that last bit was the only actual Primus content that I put on the submission.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, you know, I saw several other people that were putting out like half-hour long videos with them playing, you know, a ton of Primus stuff, and it's like they're going to be going through thousands of videos.
Yeah.
you
They
don't
were
want to
even
be
asking about.
overloaded.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They were even saying like, can you guys like submit stuff that's not only our stuff, so
Yeah.
we can kind of see your
It's
your
like
flavor.
it's great you can play our music, but we want to see something else.
And you know, before they put out that statement, I was kind of reading between the lines and thinking, you know, just because all three of the drummers that they had before were, you know, significantly different. So I'm like, you know, they're not looking for somebody that's going to be a carbon copy. They clearly enjoy, you know, taking a new direction. So, I mean, look at how different the Brown album sounds from Tales from the Punch Bowl. I mean, that's such a drastic change in overall sound just because of Brain's approach, and then, you know, they recorded it differently as well, which, you know, I've never been terribly happy with that recording, but you know, honestly, that stuff is super fun to play along with. Like even with that lo-fi kind of drum sound, I was really enjoying playing along with that stuff and the stuff from Antipop. That both of those albums with Brain on them, that was super fun material. Like Brain's style is like I said, he's so on top of the groove and very, very just aggressive and kind of insistent with his fill styles and all that. It really just cool stuff.
So you're gonna keep in touch with them and you know, build some relationships through that experience too, because it opens up your world, and like you saying, like everyone's approaching you because of this.
Oh yes, I am making a ton of friends through this. Like I've been in contact with Rory Dolan quite a bit, and now Sam Groveman.
Wow.
I did get to meet Thomas Pridgeon at NAMM in between or after the whole experience, and that was really cool. He was he was super nice.
You guys share like your experience there while you was
No, we didn't really talk about it, but he clearly knew who I was because I walked up to him and introduced myself, and he's like, "Oh, it's nice to put a face to the name," and we made some small talk. We were in front of the display that was Rick Allen's drum kit, and yeah, here we go. Here, look, I'll
Oh, yeah, look at
so
that.
that. Oh, hey,
Nice.
That's me with Thomas Pridgeon totally blocking out the Rick Allen kit, which. So
Those are great pictures.
Yeah, he's super nice. Here we'll do. This was the kit that I was using for rehearsing the Primus stuff. So you've got floor tom to the left of the hi-hat. There's an ice bell over that you can't really see because it's so dark. Lots of little cymbals, and of course I put 2 octabands in the setup and a rototom just to the right of the hi-hats. And normally, my setup in that room, because that's the room that I teach out of also, and normally my setup there is just a plain 4-piece kit, 2 crash cymbals, 1 ride, hi-hats, nothing to the left, and I had to really put something together for that whole experience to really get used to playing with the octabands again, because they'd been sitting in a cabinet for years. Like I just didn't really get a chance to use them in most of what I do. I mean, sometimes I'd bring them out for when I do percussion for Atomic Groove instead. Sometimes when they'll have somebody sub for me, if I'm planning an out of town trip or something, they'll work somebody else into the drum chair while I'm still there, so that we can have a little bit of time, and that affords me the opportunity to be out front doing percussion instead. Well, here's another development over the last 2 years. I've actually been singing lead out in front of the stage without anything but a microphone.
I've seen the photos. I'm like, he's singing now?
Oh, snap!
I mean, I've always done backup vocals, and they've had me doing vocals on some songs where I was doing the lead parts, but still behind the kit. And at one point, Carrie, our band leader, she suggested, "Hey, what we had a gig coming up where one of their former drummers was playing in the band after us, and she said, "Hey, what if we got him back there for bang on a drum so he could come out front?" And I was like,
"Oh, nice."
At first, I was like, "Oh shit, do I want to do that?"
I want to see a clip.
Do you have a clip of you singing?
I want to see a clip of that.
I'm sure I do. It's in here somewhere. That was like one of those moments where it's like, oh man, am I ready for that? And then here.
There was no practice, no prep. It was just like they're throwing you out there.
Every drummer wants to secretly be in the front too.
It's basically, I figured, okay, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen, I'll suck, and they'll go, okay, well, we either need to work on that, or let's never do that again.
So that was fun for one time.
But you're doing it more often now.
I do it as often as we can, honestly. But we need something there to for it. So usually we have my friend Monette Marino, who's a monster percussionist, and I've been working with her to help her get more accustomed to playing on the drum kit. So she'll do. She can get back there for Bang on a Drum or Love Shack. So I get out front and do those two. And if we have somebody else, then I'll do like, What I Like About You, or, they give me a lot of shouty songs, even though I am capable of stuff that I would consider much more singing than shouting.
What's your favorite to sing, to be up front and sing?
I don't know. I think Love Shack might be just because it's so hammy. Like I can really ham it up doing those Fred Schneider bits. But Bang on a Drum is a lot more. I mean, that's much more singing, and it's plus part of what we do when I do come out and sing that is at the end of the song, I run around to the kit, and then Monette or whoever is playing drums will get up, and I'll sit down, and then we just kind of trade parts back and forth for about 16 bars. So
that's so fun. How about some Primus? Or what about you sing some Primus? Did you suggest that? But no, who can fill the shoes of Mike?
Who can play less?
That's another thing about this is I never got the chance to play any Primus music with anybody before, except for one time several years ago. This is maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I met a guy that was just picking up bass guitar because he discovered Primus, and that made him want to be a bass player. But he was very much a beginner, so he had no idea what he was doing. He was just kind of fumbling his way through Primus parts, and I of course knew a bunch of Primus stuff, so we would get together and just kind of jam through it, and it was very unpolished, and we couldn't find anybody locally that was capable of teaching anybody any Primus parts. Like, I reached out to several bass teachers, and they're like, I have no idea how to teach that.
This is beyond me, man.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he's Primus is such an anomaly as far as playing goes. I know I have some footage in here somewhere of me singing, because people send it to me. Oh, there appears there's a little clip here. I can give you this. And
oh, Todd Rumdig.
Yeah, that's nice.
Not very much, but
I mean, that's true too. You wanna bang on your drums all day, but you also sing now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's super fun. That's such a different experience. Like, I always felt like, I wouldn't know what to do with myself without being behind my fort of drums and, not having anything to do with my hands. But I get out there and I try and, pantomime the lyrics with whatever I'm doing, and
just
it's
flip the hair, baby. Flip the hair. Get into it.
Yeah. Look into the crowd. Point at people.
Yeah, a lot of that. There's I've discovered I'm discovering new little moves every time I do it, and there's simple things that any other professional any professional singer already knows, but I'm just now discovering them, and it's super fun. The best part about it is being right there and looking down and seeing people just losing their minds over what we're doing. That's I always get that from behind the kit too, but I can't see as well from the lights, and with my glasses, these are only these are like for up close and mid distance, so when you get a little farther away,
it's all blur.
Faces get a little bit fuzzier, but when I'm up front on stage, I'm right there interacting with people, doing a lot of fist bumps and high fives, and that is such a gratifying experience and so fun.
I definitely think you have the personality for it and the stance. And when we met you in person, I remember we saw you from like
a distance,
a freaking across the street. Like, we were around the what was it called?
It was like the clouds opened up a little spotlight towards you, and then
he has such a presence, guys. He's such a beautiful man. And then he was like crossing the street, and I'm like, there goes Mike.
It's Mike.
And then he's like coming in and like in slow motion,
wind in hair,
like he has a presence. So I can.
If it was a movie, you'll see the action shot from the background.
He looks like an actor. He does have that lead singer look. So you belong up there too, Mike. All right. You definitely have everything going on for yourself. And I'm so happy that you get to experience it from behind the kit and now in the front. Yes.
It's so fun. So, yeah, I mean, so many developments have happened over the last few years. It's kind of wild.
Well, I love it.
Back to the whole Primus experience, we did, a couple of prolonged improvs. That was super cool. Then we did actual songs, and then basically, I mean, I felt like I nailed those. I felt really good about my performance, and then it was just like it was over. And they, we took some pictures, and then, Les and Larry walked out of the room, and they came back in with, the management came back in with more cameras, and they did some interviewing of me or with me. And then I had to get out of the way for the next drummer to come in because they didn't really want anybody to be there.
Paths.
Yeah, crossing paths. Although I did see Stan was walking in as I was driving out, and I
was like, "Ha
Oh, okay, I see.
gave him a little nod, and I tried to hook up with him after later in the week at NAMM because that was the same week. What a big week!
Yeah.
Audition Primus, and then later going to NAMM, and that was again a whole different experience this time. I mean, I always have a great time at NAMM, but having that experience in my pocket, and then walking in there, like I was exposed to so much positivity. Like people were introducing me like, "Hey, this is Mike Stone." He just for Primus, and they're like, "Oh, really?" Like what the hell's going on with this guy? I went from complete unknown to only a mostly unknown. So
That's
how
awesome.
it is. That's how it is sometimes,
yeah.
So,
Super fun.
We have
Just really validating.
We have a few minutes left of the show, and I know there's 2 more things we want to tackle before we let you go.
All right.
But the first thing we haven't touched on is your personal project, the avant-garde music that you create. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Demiso is my own personal project where I basically predominantly that stuff is mostly improvisation that I do with mostly sounds that aren't drumming. I will put drums in it periodically, but it's for the most part a lot of very experimental looping and working with keyboards and synthesizers and some guitar. And recently, after getting this looper, I did end up putting out another little, a little EP on Bandcamp this last year. I had a bit of a trying year with family, and there were a lot of health issues in my family. My mom, her dementia started getting really unmanageable. My stepdad had a couple of heart attacks. My sister, after months of complaining to her doctor and being told she was probably just experiencing stress, she discovered she had stage 4 stomach cancer, and it was only about 18 weeks later that she passed. So there was just all this stuff going on, and it was really a good little escape for me to be, trying to make some kind of, some representations of that anguish and sadness on avant-garde, in an avant-garde musical way, or just a noise fashion. So that's eventually what ended up being that most recent release was several representations of what it was like going through all of that through the year.
Wow.
And
I'm sorry you went through so many battles, and I could relate to you my mom passed away and she had dementia. So seeing your parent go through that is one of the hardest things I've had to witness and see. And I know on your threads, I see you also comment on a lot of things where I feel everything you're saying. So it is something that it does take a toll on you, and putting out music, putting out things that also, kind of you can release all the emotions that you have in a positive way in the middle of all the things that are happening emotionally, internally with you when you go through something like that, is the best therapy too, honestly. But the music you make is so vivid, and it's so expressive. And so share to us the song that we're gonna showcase, because I know this is one of yours, right?
well, for the For that latest thing, it's all pretty. You could say some of it's somewhat abrasive. Like uh, it's really. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Foreboding Dread is the first one that pops up.
That one's pretty straightforward. I'd say probably my favorite one of the whole thing would be On the Astral Plane, because it kind of represents my sister's passing on to the next level. And that's, I want to quickly say, I'm one of the things that's been hardest for me over this whole experience was that she wasn't here to share this experience with me, as far as getting to audition for Primus and all that, because she was really the catalyst for showing me drumming in a way that made me realize I wanted to be a drummer in the first place. She was the one that exposed me to Rush, and that was like the moment that I knew I wanted to be a drummer. And she was with me in my cheering section over my entire life, and would have been so excited to see what's happened in just the last few months, and she just missed it, just barely missed it. And I loved her so much. I still do, of course.
I know you think about her every day, and when these moments happen, I know she's, you're thinking of her and everything, and how supportive she was. She was on the last podcast.
Yeah, she was.
In the comments, she was, just.
And that was really, really neat to see. When and again, thank you for replaying that. Like the last thing I wanted to be doing is watching the Super Bowl, so I wasn't, and I'm just milling about, and I see a little notification pop up. And I'm like, oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to watch that instead. So
yeah,
watching that and getting to see her comments popping up in it, and that was like, oh man, that really warmed my heart, and it warmed my heart that you all put that episode out again, for multiple reasons. I mean, it felt like you were trying to bring me more attention for the Primus thing, and seeing all the references to where I was at mentally, and the dreams and hopes that I had just 4 years ago, and now to see where that's come. It's like, wow, what a gift of a time capsule you gave me. That was just amazing. So thank you so much, and thank you for having me on again. This is super fun, just exciting, and again, validating and inspiring that this has been, it's people like you that make artists feel, valid in what we're doing. This is
You're a star, Mike. You've always been a star. You've always been this person that needs to be, have a light shine on you, because you just bring all this amazing energy. And I always felt that about you from the moment I saw you. And so I feel like it's just, I'm glad that other people could share that, because it's like when you see someone and you see that light in them and they could just show it to the world, I think that's the true gift of being on the planet.
Well, thank you so much. This is amazing, and I love you both so much. I hope to get to see you again soon, like, hopefully at NAMM next year, or I'm sure they're going to do another TwitchCon down here. Yeah. If they do that, are you gonna be there?
I don't know. I think we're gonna be more focused onto the music categories of things.
We were planning on going to a rock cruise,
like a rock cruise,
to interview a lot of the bands on there, and also I don't know. I know we want to go to NAMM for sure, because there's a lot of our friends that are gonna be going, and of course, obviously, we want to meet up with you. We've always spoken about you. We've always talking about how, wow, that was one of those guys that it was really awesome to meet.
I think NAMM for sure, next year. And you go every year, so we'll definitely meet up then. If not, we should meet up along the way.
You can always come to New York City, and we could go have a good time, hang out. Sober, of course, because, we sober buddies, So that would be amazing. Catch a show.
Yeah, some of my favorite musicians are in the New York area as well. So
you'll always have us here waiting.
Well, thank you so much.
So this is another song that we want to share. And so set the stage for this song that we're going to play.
So
a
this
clip.
one you did a well, it's a preview, so it's not the full song.
yeah.
So this one is the
With Hattie Webb.
yes.
Hattie Webb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's another. So I've worked with Ron Blair from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers for like 10 years.
Wow.
And haven't done anything for a while, but Hattie Webb and her sister Charlotte, they were backing vocals, and she plays harp too. She's amazing on the harp.
Gorgeous.
But she does. They were the backup vocalists for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and they've worked with, I believe, Roger Waters. They've worked with Leonard Cohen. They were with Leonard Cohen for a long time.
Incredible.
Hattie was writing a bunch of music with Ron, and she wrote something with Mike Campbell as well from the Heartbreakers, and also Fleetwood Mac more recently. And I tracked some drums with them for, this was maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and it just kind of, I never heard anything about it, and then all of a sudden, just a few months ago, I get a tag on an Instagram post from Hattie Webb, thanking all these amazing musicians for being on her album, and I was one of the tagged, and I was like, oh, well, let me go check this out. And I went to Apple Music and got it, and I was like, oh, that's one of the tracks that I did. And
Wow.
and it's with Mike Campbell playing lead guitar on it, and Hattie's beautiful vocals and harp playing. And I'm not sure who. I think it's Ron playing bass, but I'm not sure. They might have use something else, but there's some ridiculous players on the whole album. Like Vinnie Colaiuta's on the album, so it's like,
Oh wow.
oh wow, I'm on an album with Vinnie Colaiuta now.
Yeah.
I'm also on an album that Vinnie Colaiuta's on. So, but that's an important distinction to make. But yeah, really cool stuff, and just a surprise to, like, all of a sudden, here it is, it's out, and I'd almost forgotten about it. And that's, just real quick, I love variety, and that's one of the things that keeps me fresh as a player, is I'm constantly doing different things, and not trying to just saddle myself into one style and only do that. It's like, I'm hungry for different flavors, and it's really awesome. Get the chance to do something like that.
So this song is called Hearts Connect, right?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
In this world where we live, of rules and regulations, it's hard to walk a straight line. I found myself walking on a tightrope. I'm falling. We all need love, and our hearts connect without thought.
That's Mike Stone on the drums.
They only
Beautiful.
Yeah, her singing is just wonderful. I love what she does.
I mean, to work with Tom Petty, Roger Waters, I mean, those are legends. Those are incredible musicians. Like top tier for me, for sure.
Just amazing.
Yeah,
What an
everyone
honor.
definitely check out the album, download it, support
Wild
the
Medicine.
music.
Hattie Webb. Gorgeous.
She's amazing, and just a beautiful person inside and out as well. Like I only got to perform with her in a live situation a couple of times, and one of them was at the El Rey in Hollywood for an all-star kind of thing, and that was probably my favorite moment of the whole show, was doing one of her songs, and she just killed it. Like it makes me choke up a little every time I watch that video, just because her vocals are so good, and it's the song is just dripping with emotion. Really, really good stuff.
Oh yeah, I can feel that. Yeah. Especially when you are a part of that. It's something that when you hear it, it just you become everything. That's the song.
Indeed.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. I'm so excited and happy for everything that's happened in the last couple of years since the last show. You graced us with your presence and with so many amazing stories, and then now to see that weave into what happened after all that stuff that you mentioned. It's almost like surreal how it all came true. And I couldn't be more happy for you, Mike.
We're proud of you, Mike.
Super proud of you.
I think the world of you both. I thank you so much for having this this platform and for bringing me in, because again, it's validating and inspiring, and it's just, it means so much. Thank you so much.
You inspire us and so many watching you and the journey. I mean, it's real. It's real. So guys, Mike Stone, if you don't know and you didn't know, we tried to tell you a few years ago. But now you can really see this man and his magic and everything that he's doing, all the projects. Do you have any live shows that are coming anytime soon that people could check you out if they're in the California area?
I'm with Atomic Groove a ton, so almost every Friday at the Belly Up in Solana Beach, California. I'll be there twice this week, one for a private event and then again on Friday. So that's always fun, but none of my other projects are currently doing any shows right now. I do some fill in for some rock bands locally, and for another couple of corporate acts that they just call me whenever they've got a slot that needs filled, and I'll get a list of music, I show up and we do it, and so
Are we gonna see?
You teach too, right? And you teach.
Yes, I'm teaching a couple of days a week at Moonlight Music in Encinitas, California. And so it's typically Mondays and Wednesdays that I'm there. But, if demand gets more, I'm going to have to, be down there more frequently. So
Go check out Mike. Go give him some love.
Are we going to see Mike Stone streaming on drums soon?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, I would. I keep saying I'm going to do it, and
do it.
Now that I don't have, now that I don't have a recording session to be woodshedding for, or a major audition to be woodshedding for, I would really like to get in and do some more of that, because I really have missed it. It's so much fun to get in here with the community on this and get challenged with music that I don't know, and have the catharsis of playing songs that I do know. The Twitch community always introduced me to new music. Like, there's so much stuff that I would not have known about had it not been for doing Twitch streams. So that's really, yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going to work something in soon. I just don't have any plans currently.
But surprise us one day, because we'll be there. Always good vibes.
I love doing it. It's just when life gets in the way, it gets in the way. So.
But it's busy. It's good busy, and it's exciting. Yes, so it's always awesome. Thank you so much, Mike.
Stick
Amazing.
Around after the show so we can do our final goodbyes. For everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in, hanging out, watching the stream. If you're watching this afterwards, make sure you hit that follow button. Also, hit that subscribe button to catch some more future podcasts. We have another guest coming next week, Joey, and we're going to talk more about him and his projects, and it's going to be awesome. So watch for the posts on YenYorkCity's socials. And until then, everyone have a great night.
Thank you so much again, Mike Stone. Amazing, beautiful man
Mike
in every
Stone!
way. Fucking rock star. We love you, Mike. Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I hope to see you on the next podcast. Love you.